Practice 2, we'll be looking at periodization in a series of different presentations or videos. But we're going to begin by looking back into the past. And the purpose of this is to see how our past has influenced and shaped our philosophy and practice of the scientific conditioning of athletes. So what I'd like you to do, really before we dive into more detail, is take the time to answer this question either on paper or even just in your head. So as an athlete or coach, what is the goal of training and competition? Right? Maybe arguably the highest level of competition in the world is the Olympics. And this is the Olympic motto, even today. This is my best attempt at Greek, Citius, Altius, Fortius. Right, that's stronger, higher, and faster. Actually, I believe it's faster, higher, and stronger. Sorry. But you get the idea, right? That is the goal of competition and training. Let's bring it home here to the Phoenix, right? I looked on the website, and this is the vision of Phoenix Athletics. Our vision, renowned by our academic success, commitment to our student growth, and energized by competitive outcomes, respected for our ambitious yet collaborative spirit, leading by example. Again, today, here's an example of athletic competition, striving to be at the front, to be number one, to succeed. Right? We can see that again back in the Greek time. Right? To be stronger and faster, more swift, to be more dominant. Again, we still see that back 3,000 years ago. And it's not only just to be the best, to be the strongest, to be the fastest, to be the highest, but to really be recognized by that. And we really look up to champions in our culture. So, right back in the Greek time, the Greek Olympic champion would climb the steps of Zeus's temple and be championed or heralded, to be recognized, to be looked up on, to be venerated. And they would receive a ribbon around their neck, a crown of victory, and sometimes a staff or a trophy indicating their success. And again, we still see all those things today. How many of you have gotten a ribbon or a trophy for your athletic success? That can go back to the Greeks. So really, the Olympic Games were founded on some principles. And this term is still kind of around today, but we don't really use it in our language. But just take a moment, maybe pause the video and Google what arete means. Also, the next step, after we look up the definition of arete, is where do we see those influences today? How does that shape what we do today? So if we look at the definition of arete, it really means excellence, to be the best of the best, to achieve the highest peak, to receive or to obtain glory, fame, valor, and virtue. And the purpose of that is really to become the best you can be, right? To fulfill your purpose, to live or to fulfill one's potential, right? You might also see it's walking a narrow path of the highest peak, right? To be the champion. Really, that is the philosophy or the mindset of what the word arete captures. So again, here we can see in the Greek image, they had the Greek goddess of victory, and her name was Nike. Right? We even see that in the shoes and the athletic apparel we wear today. in addition to arete, there's this other term called kalos. So again, maybe pause the video here, Google, what is kalos? And again, where do we see that practiced today? Again, the definition or the idea behind this one word of kalos, it captures this idea of magnificence, or like to look up in kind of respectful awe, right? And the idea of kalos was really that as we strive to improve our physical body, our mental, intellectual, philosophical mindset, and even our spirit, our mind, body, and spirit, the more we develop those things, the more beauty we will exude. Right? So the Greeks believed that really the higher your moral, your character, your virtue, your valor it was, the more external beauty you would portray. There can be some scary implications of that, what we've seen throughout past. But really they thought and that's why we see a lot of like a naked Greek sculpture of men and women, is because that physical perfection, physical beauty also reflected that internal, mental, and spiritual beauty. And it was really almost becoming God-like. Okay? That was the idea. That's what the word kalos means. So we really see some of these ideas today, even up moving forward into a little bit more modern times. If you look at this sculpture here, I actually got to see this. This is not my picture, but I have taken a picture of this at the Met in New York. It's right in the cafeteria. You can't miss it. But this is a sculpture. It looks like two men wrestling, or one overcoming the other. But if you look, this guy's foot is coming out of this guy's arm. And the title of this sculpture is The Struggle of Two Natures of Man. So we really have, right, it's kind of recognizing that we have this one side of our nature that seeks comfort, wants to take it easy, kind of maybe makes excuses, right? It's the idea we often as athletes, we try to suppress or push away. And then we have this other aspect of our nature who wants to, again, kind of be recognized, to be admired, to succeed. And these two dichotomous natures, laziness, comfort, and success, and pursue things that are admirable, right? They butt heads sometimes. And there's also, right, if we look at the university, basically that's unity amongst diversity. So again, we get this idea of the university from the Greeks. Their universities were basically built around a gymnasium. So there's like this big inner court of the gymnasium. And that's where, and that back in the days, that typically men would, and boys, men would kind of disciple or take a younger boy under their wing, and they engaged in wrestling, physical struggle. But then around the perimeter, they had basically kind of classrooms. They had a library. They practiced mathematics, philosophy, literature, drama, oration, astronomy, right? They looked at all these different disciplines. And the purpose of that, right, was the physical, mental, and spiritual development of the citizen, right, to gain arete and kalos. So to conclude this first practice, of kind of looking at the past. What I'd like you to do, and maybe be prepared to discuss some of these things in class. As an athlete or coach, what is the goal of training and competition? How do we develop these goals? And as an athlete or coach, how do you overcome this internal dichotomous struggle of comfort and challenge amongst our athletes and perhaps amongst yourself? As an athlete or coach, how do you recognize the desire to improve and succeed? And then how do we develop or systematically improve as an individual athlete? Or how do we set up structures as a coach? And that is the idea of periodization.